Hello again, everyone. It's Jim Faulkner. If you're watching this video, you probably came over from the last video where I explained part one of the employee tracker assignment, which was just an overview of what the application does, as well as how the view mode works here in our command prompt. Next thing we're going to be talking a little bit about is how to add, whether it's a department, a role, or an employee. So I started a little bit fresh. I trimmed the database down a little bit. There are fewer entries just to make everything a little bit more visible just for the sake of this example. And as you can see here by my screen, I've got the command prompt already pulled up, as well as have the database running. So the first question has already loaded. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a new department. We're going to add a new role within that department. And then we're going to add an employee to work in that department. So we'll say hypothetically that this team is growing, so they need someone dedicated to be in administrative role. So that's where we're going to start. So we've created that department now, and we can just go right here to our workbench, and we can see that administrative is right there with ID number 4. All right. So within that department, we're going to add a role. So we'll call it office manager, sounds better. We give it a salary. Now, which department are they going to work in? And you see here we've got administrative that is now popped up. All right. Another action, yes, we would. Now we have to add someone to work in that role. So we've got a new employee. There are a few extra questions and a little bit of extra logic we're going to take a look at. So first we're going to do a first name and then a last name. And Pam is going to be our office manager. Will this person be a people manager? No. Will this person report to a manager? Yes. So now it's going to pull up everyone that we have designated as a people manager, this question that we just answered no to, so that we can select who Pam's leader is going to be. And in this case, it's going to be Michael Scott, who we've already entered. All right. And that's what the adding operator looks like from the user interface perspective. Let's take just a quick look at the code as well. All right, so we started off with this first question, and then we go to adding a department, or adding a role, or adding an employee, exactly like how the view function worked. So when we add a department, it's really simple. We really just are entering the department name because that's kind of the root of everything, right? And then we're inserting that into the database. If we are adding a role, we are selecting our departments first, and then we're entering the job title. You see the questions there that popped up. You can see, and then the results when we select all of our departments, we're putting into this array right here, and we're passing that as the choices for the in which function will that be. And then after that, we're going to insert that role in with all of the necessary data. Finally, as we're adding an employee, we are first going to again select a list of roles so that we have a good drop-down list once we get to that question that we're asking. A couple of extra steps for this depending on whether or not they have a manager. So we're going to ask if they report to a manager, and if they don't, then we don't really have anything else we need to do. But if they do, then we've got to get their manager. So I've got this get manager and add manager function down here. So first half of this function that you see here is where we're selecting a list of everyone who is a manager, so we can find out who this person's manager is going to be. After that, so technically the employee has already been written at this point, so we're basically selecting the most recent ID that's automatically been attached, and then we're applying that ID as the employee who we're going to add a manager to, since we just added them, half a second ago. Finally, simple function just to add their manager, and that's how the add function works. Thanks a lot, guys.